Hello, welcome to Citizen Tarot. I'm going to start us off today. Oh yeah, before I forget, like and subscribe, please. It would mean a lot. I just did two really cool readings. They were love readings. I wonder if this one will also be. We'll find out. But I am going to, I don't know why I did that. I'm going to start us out with a little excerpt from this book I have called Revelations in Air. It's a book filled with like different smells, and in my brain it's different like qualia and memories and like ways of feeling. So I'm just gonna open up to a random smell and read from the book to start us off on our message. Cinnamon. Cinnamon's actual origins are mundane compared to myth. According to Herodotus, giant cinnamon birds in Arabia, cinnamon birds, sometimes referred to as phoenixes, used cinnamon sticks to build their nests, which they situated on sheer and inaccessible cliffs. To collect the cinnamon, Arabians would chop up oxen and toss the meat on the ground. This is horrific. They tempted the enormous birds to swoop in and grab the meat and bring it back to their nests. The heavy meat chunks would snap off small twigs of cinnamon from the nest. This is so strange, which fell to the ground. Spice collectors supposedly dashed out together to gather these twigs in the shadow of the feasting giant birds. What are we going to take from that? Cinnamon is a spice of life, right? That I guess was pretty inaccessible. So a spice of life that feels inaccessible other than through means of like maybe even out of the ordinary means. Perhaps even like, I don't want to use the word gruesome. I mean sacrificial means in a way, right? In the sense of like, that meat could be used to be eaten, but instead it's being used to give to the birds to eat so they can in turn get the cinnamon to spice up life, right? That's what we're going to take from it. So a spice of life that's hard to access except through out of the ordinary means. Cool. Let's start us off on an overall energy for our spice of life message. Okay. Got the mountain. I'll show you the mountain. Mountain. The king. I keep getting the king tonight. The king. Ooh, and truth, Alethea. Okay, cool. The mountain, the king, and truth. I'm just going to say what's coming off the top of my head. Perhaps the truth is hard to get to. The truth here is hard to get to. But when you get to it finally, it's black and white, right? We'll come back to that because I don't know. No, I'm going to go with that. Not all truth is black and white, right? That's kind of the point of this card, but truth, like it's always like a spectrum, right? It can be gray, but I'm getting in this that the truth that's really hard to get to at this moment is black and white. When you do get to it, you need a yes or no. You need a move forward or stay back, whatever it might be. You have this mountain to climb, a giant obstacle, sort of like trying to get cinnamon out of a tree. You have a mountain to climb to get to this truth. Perhaps. Perhaps what you're sacrificing to get to this truth is the king. And perhaps also what this truth is about that you're trying to get to is about the king. And you have to sort of, in a sense, sacrifice the king, take the king off of his throne, take the king off of his pedestal. to get to this truth, but you have to climb an entire mountain to do that. Okay, so we're going to get into the tarot about it. What does scaling this mountain look like? What is this truth about? Tell us more about this energy. You've got the King of Wands. This is kind of a player energy. Perhaps it's someone you suspect as a player, but also, before we go into this more, it also can just be someone who's really, really passionate, someone who's hot, but also like passion driven, right? So not necessarily a player. I'm gonna draw 4 more cards before I say anything else. You've got the 9 of Pentacles in reverse. This has been coming out in a lot of readings recently. The 4 of Swords. The World in reverse. The 8 of Pentacles. Okay. I think I have some thoughts on this. So you have this King of Wands energy, right? And perhaps this King of Wands, whoever they may be, it can be any gender, has kind of sort of, in a sense, given you, taken away your sense of worth. You don't really know anymore how to value yourself, because I just want to say maybe you've been impregnated with ideas that maybe didn't come from you, that compromise your sense of value and worth. Perhaps this has prevented you from doing things that were good for you or things you wanted to do. And you're trying to find out if that's based in reality or not, if you should be accepting this or not, if this person's full of ish or not, right? You have this 4 of Swords in here. This is a card of like retreating, resting, going inside and meditating. But you've been up in your brains about this, right? That's what all these swords are. But you kind of hang them on the wall for the night and you let yourself forget about it. It's interesting because sometimes those aren't, perhaps that's the abnormal and out of the ordinary means that you're taking to get something, right? To get to this truth. Because it's ordinary for you to be up in your head about it. Way more than ordinary. You've been racking your brain about it. And there's a part of you maybe that's recognizing that you have to set down what you think has been the truth or have been told has been the truth for so long, and retreat away from the situation long enough to try to figure this out. You have to sacrifice this king, suspend all the things you've been told by this person or have been led to believe up in the air, and not categorize it as this way or that way, truth, non-truth yet, but to let it hang there while you take a break and observe that around you, right? By observing what's around you and the signs and the synchronicities that come into your life and the things that you focus on, you can start to get a better idea. I'm trying to think of a good example. I don't know if this is a good example. But if you wore glasses or sunglasses that kind of filtered out blue light in your life for a long period of time, then you might forget what blue looks like, right? You know, you've started to see the sky as sort of a kind of like not quite blue anymore. I mean, you've seen through sunglasses that kind of block out blue light. If you've been wearing those for so long, you start to forget what blue looks like, what the sky looked like, right? You can remember that it is blue. and you can describe the memory of blue, but actually pulling up what blue actually is in your brain, you might not be able to do so well. Perhaps this person has acted like a sort of like sunglasses you've been seeing through, they call it rosy, oh yeah, rosy colored glasses for so long. You've had this king up on his pedestal. He's been up on his pedestal. They've been up on your pedestal. It could be anyone, right? And it's got you seeing a certain way that you think is not the whole picture. So you're stepping away to get a better idea of what is really going on, get a better picture of the truth. Okay, then you have this world card in reverse, and I'm gonna consult the little booklet about that because I'm still learning, and you can learn with me. The world. The world. I don't know, man. I need to get better at finding these things. Okay, the world. In reverse, there are many open loops right now, and they are draining your energy. Find closure and tie up loose ends. Resolve your inner desires for completion, rather than seeking closure with others. Very cool. I like that a lot because you're not seeking. You're deciding. That's exactly what you're realizing. You need to stop seeking closure and taking everything this person says as truth. You need to stop seeking closure with this person, but step back to find out for yourself. Take off the rosy colored glasses long enough to remember what blue looks like. Got this 8 of Pentacles, and you're working on something. Look at the booklet again for this. Excuse me. You leverage your determination, conscientiousness, and attention to detail to get the job done. As you do the same task over and over, you work your way toward mastery of your craft. Okay, so what this is telling me in this situation is it's really, really hard to know how to lure the truth out at first. If you can't remember what the color blue is, and you haven't seen it for so long, you might even forget what it, it might be hard to have the sunglasses taken off because you're not used to that. It's hard for you to see. Perhaps blocking out blue light helped you to see better in some ways, or you thought. Oh, yeah. I just had this thought too. This is weird for me. This is really weird for me. My voice is leaving and you can hear that, and I don't experience this very often. I haven't even been sick recently. I don't know what this is about. And while I was thinking about it, my voice even got worse. So I was thinking, maybe the situation or the person is kind of taking away your voice and your trust in yourself and your voice because you have forgotten what that color blue looks like, right? You're told that blue actually looks another way. You're not even remembering it right in the first place. Maybe you're being gaslit even. And you're starting to become aware of that. Anyway, so this 8 of Pentacles is working on how to trust yourself, which involves using your own voice and trusting your voice, making decisions, saying, I'm not going to do this right now. I'm going to suspend this belief in you, belief in this right now, long enough to reaffirm to myself what even the color of blue is. I want to remember it for myself. Stop telling me how to think. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Is there anything else we should know about this? The 5 of Cups in reverse. Perhaps you already know, and you just need to take a little time to suspend it before actually making the decision to cut it off. And that feels like scaling a mountain too. Perhaps you've been scaling a mountain for some time. You know, this card, the artist talks about, you know, there's this hole in the center of it. She talks about, Kim Kranz is the artist and author. She talks about scaling a mountain is often the goal and objective for people to get to the very top, to the summit, right? But often it's what lies at the heart of the mountain that is really of value. So maybe for some time you've been trying to get to the top of the situation, fix the relationship, right? Get to a point where you're both seeing from the top of it. You feel like you're top, but you're not getting there, and you haven't been getting there. And when you get to the heart of the situation, when you stop trying to get to the top of it and fix it and make it better, and really just get to the heart of what's really going on, you find truth that kind of maybe you are suspecting and have been suspecting in the first place. You realize it's time to move on. That's what this card represents. It says, time to move on. You've looked at all the cups. You've been doing this for a while. You've done what you can. And now that you've suspended yourself and you're teaching yourself how to use your voice again, you know it's time to move forward. You finding that truth. Ooh. This just popped out, the Two of Wands. You have a choice, this choice and that choice. One choice is looking a lot better. To stay or to go. It's really, really hard to make that choice to go, especially in toxic relationships like that even, right? That where you know that you've done wrong, like you've been did wrong, right? Like someone has treated you poorly, but you still, perhaps you've built a whole entire perspective and way of seeing yourself based off of this person. Moving forward is extremely difficult because you have to gain your sense of self back again, even in the first place. And the sense of self is currently attached to this person. Okay, we're gonna draw some cards that are action cards to move forward out of this situation. Give us 4 action cards in this situation. The Great Work. I like that. The Great Work. 10. And Uranus. Okay. So the Great Work. A few things come. Oh, I have one more to do, huh? One more card for action steps. Oh, the Peacock's Tail. Cool. This is really perfect, I think. Okay, let me get into this. I really like the Great Work card, and it makes me think of a few things. Perhaps this situation ultimately contributes to your greater cause and sense of purpose in life. I mean, in general, in this lifetime, we are learning to master ourselves, right? To know ourselves, know thyself. And this is part of the Great Work in general. But it's been a great work just to try to defeat this mountain in the first place, right? To try to scale it or even get to the heart of it has been an entire task, right? Tin is a metal that's really, really lightweight. And we have this sign of Jupiter in with this, which is the planet of expansion. But what comes to mind is the artist talks about tin in this this deck. I remember the term tin, the tin scream. You know, the sound tin makes when you bend it. It's really loud and easy to hear. This is something that's unstable, that presents, you know, it's a metal, and it looks like it's gonna, maybe someone told you that it was steel. Maybe something someone told you was presented as if it was steel, but it was really tin. And when you put any kind of pressure, set anything down on it, it crackles. The tin scream happens, right? It's unpleasant. Just the idea of a scream in general, anyway. And the more and more that this happens, the more and more and more that you're catching on that this isn't right. It's expanding this. It's expanding the truth, right? It's inflating the truth more and more. It's becoming more and more obvious. I like the rainbow also coming off of this, and I'll tell you why in a second. Well, I'll tell you now before I forget. The Peacock's Tail is a card that talks about how when you really look at things, you know, on these sides you see everything's black and white. The truth looks black and white, but there's really a spectrum of color. Okay. The truth itself is black or white. Is this true or is it not true? That this is the truth you've been seeking. But by discovering this truth, you will start to see life in color again. You won't just be looking through this rosy colored glasses filter anymore. What hurts you and is strained and cries under pressure will no longer do that, because you will see it for what it is. This truth will give you a sense of color and joy and expand your world in a way that it might even be hard to, once you get there, not be sad about the time lost, right? I don't mean to say that. That's probably not helpful. But I think that you might end up feeling that way. Maybe it is helpful, because a lot of the time in retrospect, we can see things so much more clearly, right? In retrospect, with these glasses off. You also have Uranus in here as an action card, which is a card of abrupt change. It's got this bolt of lightning. It often feels like a bolt of energy. Perhaps this is the energy to leave. This is you allowing yourself to be angry at the situation. And anger, I said this in another reading the other day, we often look at anger as like a thing that we shouldn't have. I mean, you probably already know this too. Anger is a good thing. As long as we don't dwell in it or act in a way that hurts others based off of it. Anger is the self standing up for itself, or a recognition of value being undervalued. A recognition of truth coming out of untruth, right? I deserve better. I deserve better is what anger is. This deserves better. We deserve better. All right. So what's the likely outcome once we follow these steps? The cave. 2 more cards for this likely outcome, please. The gem. Wow. Ooh, and the comic. Okay. I'm going to do one of these tarot cards to add on to it. The outcome energy. Gem, the cave, the comic. What's this about? One more clarifier. The 8 of Wands, but in reverse. So let's see. First, I'm going to look at that. You may, as I'm trying to say, you may be resistant to use your voice. You may be resisting change, trying to stop the flow of energy and movement by trying to stop the energy of movement. And this will only make things harder, so let go and be in the flow. If you have been feeling stuck, do things differently. This retreating, suspending, truth, suspending what you know to be true or been told to be true. Do things differently. New routines, locations, activities, get out there. Suspend yourself long enough to get out there and observe the world, to have a retrospect enough to see in retrospect. and get the energy moving again. Your energy this time, yours, and where you know that it's yours and you don't have to question that. Okay? Part of expanding and getting that energy flowing again involves the cave. This is maybe a sort of hermit-like card where you go back and retreat back into oneself, right? Go into the cave. Become familiar with yourself, with your wants and your passions and your needs again. Focus in on those. It might be hard to do at first. But if you make yourself dedicate some time to those passions and things every day, you might just find that they become the light inside the cave where everything else is kind of blackened out and you can focus in on yourself again, right? Find the inner light within. Find the gem within. Something that sparkles, the thing that lights you up and makes you sparkle. Perhaps it is the gem itself is the truth. I find this interesting that it's all associated with this mountain card, right? Getting to the heart of the truth. Getting back to your heart, your truth. And that's another thing to consider too. Perhaps one person's truth, maybe it is or isn't valid. I'm getting the sense that it's not valid, like in the sense of like what someone else is telling you maybe isn't based in truth. It's just misleading. But maybe for some, it could be that someone else's truth is just totally different than yours. And perhaps it's even saying, you know, this person is telling you untruths and they know it, but it comes from their truth of their life being, and their perspective being played with and janked with and messed with in a way that yours hasn't been. So you can't imagine doing to someone else that you love what this person might be doing or might have done. But that's because their entire world experience and life experience is a totally different truth than yours. That doesn't justify it, but it's worth thinking about. And then the other outcome energy of this is the comic, which I really love. Perhaps you have a sense of humor, and perhaps, you know, it's really, really hard with difficult things at first to laugh at them unless you're really good at that and you're like a comedian. But there's like a whole thing with comedians being like really depressed and having hard lives, and that's why they're funny, is because they're like poets in the sense that they're able to take hard things and turn them into something laughable, to see the light in them, or I think the thing that makes humor is that it's relatable, right? You know, people make jokes about how it takes so much for them to get out of bed or whatever, and it's like you see memes about that, or memes about that make turn pain into something funny. And it's funny because, oh, someone else feels that way. Yeah, I totally do that same thing. Yeah, I will go a week without showering when I'm really in the depths of it, and here someone is making a joke out of that, right? Maybe it'll turn into something like that for you. Regardless. And maybe that's part of like your approach too in suspending truth long enough to find the truth. Perhaps you have to allow yourself to be silly. If it feels silly, it could feel silly to step away and to question this person and what they're telling you, right? To question any truth might feel silly. But I also like that because, you know, a lot of amazing scientific discoveries, things that have really, really improved the world, a lot of really helpful things have, you know, most anything really just comes out of being a fool, the fool type energy, silliness, being willing to see something in another way, in another light. But to see the light, take those glasses off, see the light for yourself. I'm going to send you off with, I have these little sweary affirmation cards, which seems fitting for, I'm going to draw you 3 sweary affirmation cards. These are funny. My friend got them for me for my birthday. Okay. We have, I have my own best friend. Other people are total dicks. which is totally fitting for this energy. I really like that. And this is where the comment comes in, right? Like, perhaps you're not the kind of person that says this kind of thing. Maybe you are, but to try to embrace that energy, right? Like, even in a comedic sense of like, other people are dicks. I'm my own best friend. Time to be my own best friend, right? Yeah. Another sweary affirmation for you. I trust in myself because I am a total badass. Yes, it takes a lot to do what you're doing here. It is badass. Meet up with a friend and have a good bitch. Perhaps, ooh, that brings to mind a lot of the time when hard things are happening in our relationships, if we have someone up on a pedestal, or we don't want to like we don't want to wreck the image, or it feels like sometimes like telling someone else about your hardships in a relationship almost makes those problems more real, which could be a good thing, right? Has its ups and downs, but it also makes it feel like if I tell someone about this, and then it'll change their opinion about all of this and make it more not just real, but like perhaps even permanent damage. Maybe that's just what it needs. If it does damage it, maybe that's just what it needs. By talking to friends around you and sharing your truth, and not just trying to keep this person in a good light because you're a good person. Get a second opinion on these things, right? It might really, really help you in finding what this truth is in the end. Have a good bitch. Yeah, all right. And that's your reading. If you like this, like and subscribe, please. I'm at my freaking desk. And check out some of my other videos if you'd like. I'll be posting these. The goal is to do it every day, so follow me. And maybe leave in the comments like what you'd like to see. I think I've thought about doing like pick a card readings. So that'd be fun to do. But yeah, let me know. And thanks for following me. Have a good one. Bye. Good luck.